Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Rob with Diligent Dev, and today we're going to be talking about data visualization using Vue.js and charts.js. Now, for this tutorial, we're going to be using a COVID-19 dataset. It is super relevant as of the date today, April 12th, 2020. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is set up our Vue project. And to do that, I've gone ahead and opened up a terminal and CD'd into my desktop directory. You can put this anywhere you'd like on your computer. And we're going to create our Vue project by running npx vue create, and we'll say the name of our project, which will be COVID-19 visualization. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick the default, and I'm going to let this install. You'll see a folder has appeared, and I will be right back once this is finished. Okay, so the Vue CLI has finished generating our project, and now what we're going to do is install some dependencies that we'll be using inside of our code. So I'm going to go up here and go to terminal, new terminal, and then I'm going to type in npm I Vue-chart.js, charts.js, axios, moments, bootstrap, and hit enter. And this is going to take a second to run, and as soon as it's finished, I'll be right back. So all our dependencies finally finished installing. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and import the Bootstrap styles into our project. So I'm going to go to source, main.js, and right underneath this import statement, I'm going to write import bootstrap dist css bootstrap.css. I'm going to go ahead, and it's auto-saving, so I don't need to save it. And the next thing we're going to do is go into app.vue, and we're just going to get rid of everything inside of this div tag. Going to get rid of this hello world component, and I'm going to get rid of all of the styles in here. Okay, so now that we have that all removed, we're going to go ahead and import Axios at the top of the script tag. So we're going to say import Axios from Axios. And this is what we're going to be using to make our calls to the API. Now we want the call to the API to fire when the page is loaded, so we're going to be using the Vue lifecycle method called created. So underneath this components property here, I'm going to say async created. And what we're going to do is I'm going to say const, I'm going to do some object destructuring here, data equals axios.get, and I'm going to go grab the API call, the URL, and we're going to paste that right in there. And in front of Axios, we need to put it in await. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and console log the data. I'm going to go ahead and save everything, and then I'm going to fire up our development server. And the way you do that is in the terminal, you'll just run npm run serve. And now our development server's up. So I'll go ahead and click this link. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that our development server's up, but we have nothing in the template tags, nothing's being displayed. We just strictly want to look at what is coming back from the API. So you see we have an array here, and inside of each one you'll see that we have a date, the states, how many positive, negative, pending. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. And what we're going to do is pull a couple of these out so that we can display them in different charts. So let me get rid of this. And what we're going to do now is get rid of this console log statement. And we're going to put a new property right above this called data. And this is going to hold all of our variables. So we're going to have a bunch of arrays with a lot of different data in it. The first one is going to be positive cases. And we're just going to set that to an empty array. We'll have our hospitalization cases. We'll also make one. Oh, I gotta wrap this in a return. There we go. We'll say in ARR in ICU, set that to an empty array. ARR on ventilators, set that to an empty array. And then we'll say ARR recovered. And the last one, ARR deaths. I'm going to go ahead and format this so it all looks good. And then what we're going to do is start pushing data into these different arrays that we have set up. So we're going to say data.forEach. We'll say D. And now we have our for each all set up and ready to go. Now the dates that we get back from the API are in a very weird format. So what we're going to do is go ahead and import moments from moment. And we're just going to grab the date here. So we're going to say const date equals moments. It's the date property. And it's in a format of 4-digit year, 2-digit month, and 2-digit day. And we're just going to go ahead and format that for display purposes to month, month, and day, day. The next thing we're going to do is do some more object destructuring to pull all of the properties that we want out of the objects that we're looking at. So we'll say const positive hospitalized currently. And it might actually help if what we do for this is we just copy and paste so we don't misspell anything. So I'm going to take the dev tools and pin them here, and then we're going to pin this here. So basically what object destructuring does is it pulls out these properties without you having to set them equal to anything. So we've got positive. We're going to do hospitalized currently. We'll just go ahead and paste that in there. The next one we have is in ICU. So we're going to grab the in ICU currently. Next one is on ventilators currently. And then we'll grab recovered. And we'll grab death as well. Okay, so now we're just going to set this equal to D. And we can finally start pushing stuff into our arrays. So we'll say this dot ARR positive dot push. And we'll push an object into it. The first property will be the date and then the total, which will be positive. And we're just going to go ahead and do this for all of the arrays. This dot ARR hospitalized push an object of dates total equals hospitalized currently. Let me shrink this down. Actually, we'll get rid of it for now. And actually what I'm going to do is just copy this, and we're just going to change the properties off of it. So we have hospitalized. The next one is ARR in ICU. We have the dates, and then in ICU currently. And then we have ventilators, so ARR on ventilators, and we'll push the on ventilators currently. We have ARR recovered, and then ARR deaths, and we'll put death. All right, so to make sure that everything is coming through correctly, I'll just put a debugger here. We'll hit save. And we got an error of an unexpected debugger. So what we'll do is I'll actually just console log one of the arrays and just make sure that everything's going in correctly. ARR positive is not defined. Sorry. This dot. There we go. All right, so we've got our console log being hit right now. And it looks like it hit this anyways. So we're just going to go ahead and run it. And it's running every single time, and everything looks like it's being pushed in correctly. So it looks like we're all good to go there. So now that we have our data all coming back correctly, we need to create our line chart component. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and close out of this. I'm going to make this full screen again. We're going to go back to our files. I'm going to go to components, and I'm going to delete this hello world component. And then we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call it linechart.vue. Now, the way that Vue Charts works is you don't have to define a template tag because the line chart that you have is being rendered through JavaScript, and we don't have to create an exact template to render the charts out. So we don't need a template tag, but we do need a script tag. And inside of our script tag at the top, we're going to say import line from Vue-chart.js. Now inside of the export defaults, we're going to give it a property called extends, and we're going to extend the line chart that we just imported, and then we're going to pass some props. The first one is going to be a label, and it's going to have a type of string. The next property is going to be our chart data. So we'll say chart data. This is going to have a type of array. And then we'll have some options that we're going to pass to it. And this will be type object. Get rid of this down here. And we'll format the document. Underneath this props, we're going to make another Vue lifecycle hook, and it's going to be called mounted. So say mounted. And this is where we're going to actually render our chart. So in here, at the top, we're going to say const dates. And the way that we pass properties into our chartjs charts is they have to be one-dimensional arrays. They can't be arrays of objects. They just have to be flat arrays. So we're going to say this.chartData.map, and we're going to take the date property out of it. So we'll say d.date. And then from the API, they're sending in the dates in descending order, but we want them in ascending order for our charts. So we're going to reverse that. And then we're going to do the same thing for the totals. So we're going to say const totals equals this dot chart data map. Dot map. If I can type today, there we go. D dot totals or total. And we're also going to reverse that. Then what we're going to do is call this dot render chart. And we're going to pass some properties into this. And I misspelled render. There we go. Okay, so the first thing is going to be our labels, and that's what we're going to be displaying on our x-axis. So we'll say labels, and we'll set that equal to the dates. Then we're going to pass data set. We're going to say label equals, or the property, this dot label. We're going to set the data equal to the totals. And then outside of this, we're going to say this dot options. And it actually has to be after that curly brace. And we'll format that, and everything is looking good. So we're going to go ahead and save this. We are going to go back to our app.vue file. And up at the top here, we're going to say import line chart from components / line chart. And then inside of our components, we need to register it. And not line cart, line chart. And then up at the top here, I'm going to give this some styling so it looks good. We're going to give this top level div a class of container. And we'll give it a margin top, or actually I'll save that for down here. We'll say div with a class of row, and we're also going to give this row a margin top of 5. And inside of here is where we're going to display our line charts. So before we display them, so we do not display empty charts, I'm going to say v if ARR positive dot length is greater than 0. We'll display this row, and we'll give it another div inside of it with a class of column, or COL. We'll give it an h2, and this h2 will be positive. And then we're going to use our first line chart. Go ahead and close that, and we need to pass in our props that we gave the component. So the first one is chart data, and we're going to set that equal to ARR positive. And the next one is options, and we have not set our options yet. So for our options, we are going to say chart options. This is an object. We're going to say responsive. And we're going to set that equal to true. And we're going to set maintain aspect ratio and set that to false. So for options, we're going to pass in chart options. And then for label, we're going to pass in positive. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then I'm going to fire that up. And you'll see right here, we have our first chart with the positive cases for COVID. So after realizing the video was getting to 20 minutes, I decided to speed things up here a little bit. Essentially what I did was just take that first chart we created, I copy and pasted it, I gave the page a header, and then I just assigned the different arrays and labels to each individual chart. And I kind of explained what I did, but I just didn't want you to be caught off guard when you watch the video. Okay, so what I've done here is I've added an h1 tag at the top. I've given it a new row inside of a column with a class of text centered, and that's giving us this nice header up here. Now, one other thing I could do is probably give this a margin top of 5, and you'll see now that the header has moved away from the top. So I've copy and pasted all my different charts in here. I've changed the header tags, the label, and the data that is being displayed in the charts, but I've saved one so that we can go through it together. So what you're going to want to do is grab this top one, go ahead and copy it, and then I'm going to place it here at the bottom underneath the recovered chart. And this one is our last array that we have, and it's AR deaths. So we're going to replace it there. We're also going to replace it as the chart data. We'll replace the label as deaths. And then we'll go ahead and replace this h2 tag as deaths as well. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then if we scroll down here at the bottom, we see we have deaths. All the chart data looks like it's coming through very nicely. And these charts are completely fine, but they are very, very boring. So what we're going to do is head over to our line chart component. And we're going to give it a new property called chart colors. And this is going to have a type of object. And then down here in the data sets, we're going to pass a couple properties to it. But before we do that, we actually have to destructure the properties that we're going to be passing. So I'm going to say const border color points border color points background color, and then background color. And I'll go through what all of these are doing. And we're going to set this equal to this dot chart colors. Now down here, in this data sets property, underneath the totals, we're going to import these. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy these. Border color, point border color, points background color, and background color. Now what each one of these is doing is this border color is what the line is going to be. That's the color of the line. The point border color is going to be a circle around each point. The point background color will be the background color of the points, and the background color will be the color that is displayed right here. So what we need to do now is go back to, I'm going to go ahead and save this. We need to go back to our app.vue. And we need to set some color properties for each one of these. And I've gone ahead and set some color properties, and I'm just going to paste them in the interest of time. So I'm going to pass in this positive chart colors, and then I'm going to go up to positive. I'm going to put a new property on it called chart colors and set that equal to positive chart colors. We go ahead and format that so it looks all nice and save it. And you'll see now we have some great colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and paste in all of my colors that I have. Okay, so I've gone ahead and pasted in all of my different colors. You'll see that now each line chart has a chart colors property, and we have all these different colors down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And you'll see now that each chart has some really nice colors, and it just makes the charts look so much better. Now, if you are struggling to find color combinations, there's a great website called coolers.co, and it's what I used to generate the colors for all of my charts. You just launch their color generator, and if you just hit the space bar, it goes ahead and gives you all sorts of different color options, and you can lock different ones in, and it's just a fantastic tool. So that's going to wrap it up for this tutorial. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. And until next time, happy coding.